Our gospel today is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 42. Give to everyone who begs from you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you. How many of you have seen the movie Forrest Gump? Yeah, most of us. Forrest is a man who has an IQ of below 80. He is not a smart man. But even though he's not a smart man, he becomes an extraordinary man. He has these extraordinary experiences, like becoming an all-star college football player and getting to visit the White House. Or he goes to Vietnam and he saves many, many men of his platoon. And he goes to the White House again. He ends up getting a shrimping boat, and during a big storm, all the other boats are wrecked. And so he makes millions and millions of dollars being the only shrimping boat in the area. But throughout these extraordinary things that are happening, there's one thing in the movie that I noticed that's even more extraordinary. Forrest is a man of great love, and he loves to share. There's all these scenes like where he's sitting on the bench next to the lady, and he's like, "Want a chocolate?" He loves to share. Or when he and Lieutenant Dan are both hurt in the war, he brings Lieutenant Dan ice cream. Ice cream! Lieutenant Dan, ice cream! He really wants to share. Or when he makes his fortune in shrimping, he remembers his best friend who died in Vietnam. He remembers that it was his best friend Bubba who got him started in the shrimping business, and so he takes half of his fortune and he gives it to Bubba's mom. Forrest loved to share. I think we love to share too. We really like at Christmas when we can take a name off the giving tree. Oh, here's an 8-year-old boy and he wants a skateboard. I'm going to get him the best skateboard. Or we like to give to our church or our favorite charity, or we like to support a kid overseas who otherwise might not be able to go to school. We also like to share. But our verse today doesn't say share. It says give to everyone who begs of you. Do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you. Beg? We don't like to give to people who begged from us. Begging is not a value that we have. We teach our children not to do it. We look at people on the street and we're like, ooh, okay, they're God's children. All right, we'll be friendly. We'll say hi. Maybe we'll give them something. But we don't like it. We don't like the beg.
No.
And when we look to the equivalent verse in Luke chapter 6, verse 30, it says, give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them back. And I'm like, Jesus, are you serious? Are you saying let people steal from us? No. Jesus isn't saying that. There's context, right? I'm going to go to the commentaries. I'm going to find the context. So I did, and lo and behold, there it was. Jesus didn't mean let people steal from you. It was just that in first century Palestine, Jews didn't have a lot of power. The Roman soldiers could come and take things away from them, and they didn't have any recourse, right? So if they would go after the soldier, there would be violence. Violence would ensue. And so, of course, that is so far away from the way of Jesus. So Jesus is like, just don't create any more violence. Or, I went to the part about give to anybody who wants you to lend them something, and it's like, right, the Old Testament code said don't lend money and things with interest. You're to lend, to help people out, to give of what you have. I'm like, good. Whew. The commentaries gave me a pass. But then there was something in my heart that said, I am hearing the commentaries give me a pass, but I'm not sure Jesus would.
Preach.
I'm not sure Jesus would. And I thought, I give to the nonprofits, I give to my church. They're taking care of people, right? But I think Jesus said take care of the least of these, and I'm not sure all the least of these are covered by the nonprofits that we have.
Well,
they're doing good work. But I think there might be some people left.
Well,
And I was thinking, who would be left? Imagine me on a street corner, like this, and I need some help, you'd probably help me, right? Because I look nice, and you'd probably think, that girl, she just probably, her car broke down, I'm going to help her out, right? That's what you'd think. And imagine that I was standing there, but imagine that I didn't look like this anymore. Imagine that I'm looking a little ratty. Maybe I'm a little dirty. Maybe I smell bad. Maybe I smell like the garbage heap that I sleep next to. Maybe I smell like that garbage heap that's been in the sun, baking and baking. Maybe I smell like the shower I haven't taken in months.
Wow.
Maybe I even smell a little bit like the rotting breath of one who's been drinking. Drinking, yes, I would say beer. Maybe I smell a little bit like someone who has been smoking 26, 27 little butts that they find smoking them down. Maybe I have a chew. And you're looking at me and you're like, she wants something from me, but she has money to buy chew. So maybe I'm standing there and I don't have this nice bag anymore. Maybe my worldly possessions are here and I'm standing there. Would you help me? Would you help me? Or would you say, there she is, she's begging. Rachel Brocker wouldn't help me. She's totally irritated at the people who stand at the top of the freeway. They slow down traffic. They're probably just going to buy beer anyway. Those people, they're probably just part of some organized ring. She would drive right on by.
Go ahead, Reverend, go ahead.
Preach.
But Jesus would help me. Jesus would drive by and then he'd stop, he'd come and he'd see me. He'd ask my name. When I told him my name and he smelled my rotting breath, he would ask to hear my story. And when he would say, go down to Salvation Army, he wouldn't send me, he'd walk with me. And when it didn't work, and I came back, and I parked myself right back at this corner, and started drinking again, he'd come back. He'd say, how's it going? And I'd say, Jesus, it's going all right, but all I want right now is a drink. He'd say, all right, but why don't you just come on down to the Salvation Army with me again? Rachel Brocker wouldn't do that. She'd pass right on by. And I'd say, all right, priest, all right, Levite, I will wait for my good Samaritan. Rachel Brocker might say, I'm too busy. I've got all these middle-class, privileged high school people to go hang out with. I've got to help them raise money for their next youth trip. Right? Maybe some of you all would say that too. You're too busy. You're too busy being ministers, doing ministry to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Maybe you would see me with my dip, and you'd say, I'm not giving to anything that's going to go into that. But Jesus, he would be near me. He would know what I needed was his presence. You all know that too. You've preached it to me. I've heard you preach it to me when I've come to your shelters. I've heard you preach it to me. What you need to do is find God. You all have God, right? You've heard. Jesus has told you what to do. Jesus has told you, feed the hungry, give water to the thirsty, visit the sick and imprisoned. Jesus has told you it's not just about your ministry.